So how are you? Today we are going to get down into what embodiment is, because there's been some questions on the channel as we're embarking on this higher self series around, okay, you're saying embodiment, you're saying drop in, what do these things mean, and how do I actually go about doing them? So that's what we're going to talk about today. These questions have been great because they've really helped me actually embody even deeper into this topic for myself because I've sat with it and I've actually realized this probably should have been called the self-trust series. Like, how can we build deeper and deeper trust with ourselves on every level? For our physical health, our emotional health, for our relationships, for our purpose, for our beingness, for our authenticity. Okay. And so it's interesting because as we're embarking on this journey and we're wanting to become more and more of who we are, as we unravel out of the codependency, as we unravel out of the places and spaces where we felt suffocated or stifled in our energies or where we felt stagnant, knowing deep down inside that we came here for so much more is where we really start to unravel out of the suppression and the inversion that was in our systems. Now, as we go through this awakening phase, we can also hit these pockets of wanting to know why all of this happened to us or who did it. And I've definitely gone down those pathways myself, but where I've landed, definitely explore whatever you feel guided to. But ultimately, where I have personally landed is at the end of the day, right here, right now, in the present. It's not so much about what happened or why it happened, unless I need that information to unravel myself out of it. For me, it's become more important around the fact that I do not have to agree to any of those things anymore. And I am free to no longer participate. And so I can extract myself out of those old patterns and limitations and choose to create my own pathway and my own journey of sovereignty. Okay. And why I said self trust is so important is because I truly believe inside of us, in our actual, authentic, natural nature, we have the keys and the codes and the information that we need to be our best self and to live our best life. And what we've been in the process of doing is actually learning how to trust ourselves and learning how to embody things that we intellectually understand, but may not have known how to actually achieve in the physical world. Yesterday, when this question came up around what do you mean by embody and how do you actually go about it? So, what came to me was this analogy of say, you know that you want to learn how to drive a car. Okay. You intellectually understand this process, but you've never driven one. So, you don't actually know how to do it. Okay. So, you go to another person, I would imagine, or you go to some videos and you start to learn what it looks like when someone else is driving. Maybe someone gets in the driver's seat while you're in the passenger seat, and they actually set the literal example while you pay attention. Because you've probably driven in cars thousands of times, but maybe you just were along for the ride, not actually thinking about the driving process. But when you want to learn it, now you're honed in on it and you're actually paying attention. So you observe and watch someone else setting the example. Okay. This is how we start to drop in and focus our attention on the things we want to achieve. We watch someone else who's accomplished it. Okay. Then, you get yourself an instructor, whether it's your mom and dad or an aunt and uncle, or you literally pay someone to teach you how to drive. And you go out and you get in the actual driver's seat but you have a mentor there supporting you and helping you learn the signals, helping you to get comfortable with the actual vehicle you're in, learning where things are, and then like orienting yourself to the vehicle itself, and then actually how to orient yourself to driving in a world where you're in lanes with other vehicles and how to navigate the world. This is so literal to us learning how to embody our higher self. Like, and I say literal because it's like our physical body is our vehicle, okay? And our higher self energy and our soul essence, only part of it has been here, right? Because of other information in our system. I can go into that later. But essentially, wanting to call in more of our soul essence is the equivalent of wanting to learn to drive the vehicle, okay? And so you get in the car, you have someone teaching you or showing you ways, and you still have your own style of driving the vehicle. You have your own way of connecting, but you get that original example of inspiration so that you know how to take the practical steps of driving, right? Okay. So then you practice as much as you need to with someone in the vehicle. Eventually, it gets to a point where they're saying, okay, you're ready. You're ready to graduate. You're ready to take your road test. It's going to probably feel nervous. You're probably going to feel scared a little bit. Like maybe I'm not ready. Okay. But here's the thing, this is how you get ready. You get in there and you just start to do it because you have enough skills to actually start embodying the process and actually stepping into it at these levels is where a majority of the embodiment occurs. Okay. You're in control of the vehicle. You're in control of your body and your vessel because you've learned how to listen to it. You've learned what your body is telling you the same way you've learned how what the signals and signs on the road mean. Okay. So in the vehicle, you take your driver's test, you go out on your own at first, even though you're out on your own, even though you officially have your license, most likely, if this is new for you, you're going to feel a little weird and awkward and nervous at first. I know that I did, okay? But eventually, it's through actually going and doing these things in the physical world that we build the muscle and the comfort to be able to fully embody driving the vehicle in a comfortable way. So you see how it went through the steps of understanding intellectually, I want to learn how to drive, to actually doing it. And there was lots of steps and stages in between to become that embodied driver, that experienced driver. We're going through the same process in our ascension and our evolution as we're learning how to become more and more of ourselves. And you may say, well, if it's my soul essence, Danielle, and it's all of who I am, how come I just didn't know how to use it in the first place? That is a great question because I believe deep down we always did know how to use it. When we were born, we had the roadmap, we had the awareness, but our little bodies weren't strong enough to even walk yet, right? And so we didn't actually have the physical capabilities to do it. We had to rely on the external world to help us grow up. And in the external world that we grew up in, the people who were helping us grow up had forgot about their higher self or put it on the back burner because that was the world that we were living in. And so we only had the keys to what was available to us. So imagine like you're born and you know how to drive, you know, a limo, like you know how to drive a bus, but you don't actually have the keys to that bus. So what happens is somebody hands you the keys to a moped, okay? And they're like, here, drive this. And then you have to learn something new or in a totally different way. And the moped might be cool, but it doesn't have the same power as, say, a limo or a bus or a full-blown motorcycle, right? Like it has certain things that you can do, and it can definitely help you move faster than walking. but it doesn't have that same power as, say, a motorcycle. Okay. So just roll with me. I'm not the greatest at all these vehicle analogies, but it's what's coming in. Okay. So that's the equivalent, like you have the plans and your higher self knows how to drive every vehicle on the planet. Okay. But your human self is like, here, maybe you're going to start with a tricycle. Okay. So it's all of these steps that we go through, and we can only really work with what was handed to us and what is available to us when we're in that state of being in someone else's care, because we don't even have full control of our physical body at that point. So, like I'm saying, at that point, we didn't even have physical control of our vehicle. We had to depend on another human being to feed us and to care for us to a certain point, until we started to learn how to do that for ourselves, and we only knew how to do what other people taught us. Okay. Until we reached a point where we started looking outside of that and asking new questions, and then we started to learn how to embody new ways of being. And at first it might have felt weird. I'm probably guessing a majority of you, if not all of you, all of these topics that we're talking about here on the channel at one point were like a foreign language. Because I will tell you, there was a point in my life where that was true. In fact, I talked with one of my friends that I grew up in my neighborhood with, who also works in my office with me. We do energy work. And we've joked about how when we were in our teenage years, if somebody would have came and talked to us about this stuff, we would have laughed and probably blew them off, because that was what we knew at that time. We didn't necessarily have that openness in our energy to be open to these ways of being. And at the time, it wasn't necessarily practical to what we were navigating on the streets in our neighborhood. Okay. So, but it obviously, clearly, at a soul level, we totally understood it. And once we were ready and we were open to receiving the information, we absorbed it like sponges, and it became a part of our everyday life. Right. So it's also one of those things, don't judge a book by its cover. Just because something might not be absorbable in the moment doesn't mean that that person isn't um, capable of doing the things. It's just a matter of timing, divine timing, readiness, the willingness to be prepared to make the shifts and the changes, to see new things, to change mindsets. And so what I've discovered is it's really about the willingness to want to do new things, to embody who we truly are, right? And it starts with, like I said, building that trust. So if you're coming up upon something that you want to have in your life, but it's not present and you are not sure how to do it, say, you know, you want to be happy, but right now you're miserable. So you find people who are happy, you see what they're doing, you ask questions, you take notes, you start to learn ways of getting yourself in that energy. And if it feels really heavy, or you're not sure what steps to take, then you just start to get yourself support. What I found when I felt that way back in the day, I would feel like I knew what I knew and I had a certain set of skills. I would want to live and be a certain way. And so, and I would feel the potential of that. And I would think, like, okay, I got to do it right now. And then what would happen is I would start to do it, and I didn't actually have the skills to sustain it. Well, because why would I? No one taught me. It wasn't available. And then I wouldn't be able to sustain it. And I would think that I failed or that I wasn't good enough. But now in retrospect, I see neither of those were true. I did not have the skills and I needed more training. I needed to learn. And what actually ended up happening is I started to manifest experiences into my life so I could gain the skills so that I could sustain the things that I wanted to embody. Okay. And this is what I mean. And this is why I come on here so vulnerably about my experiences, Because yes, in the past, there may have been times where I felt ashamed that I didn't know how to do something, or that I made mistakes, or that I didn't know the best ways to go about things. But why I'm here and comfortable talking about it with you now is because I'm not ashamed anymore, because I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to take self responsibility. And so, if we're willing to learn and self reflect, and we're willing to take responsibility for our life, for our happiness, and for our process, I believe that we can find the keys to any vehicle we want to drive. We can find the answers and the solutions to what it is that we want to create in our life if we're okay with going through the process of learning to embody what we're intending. And this is why I always speak about space and grace. Give yourself the space to learn the skills that you need so that you can embody what it is that you want to be. Okay. And the grace to forgive yourself and everyone else around you for not having those skills in the first place. It's all okay. This is what we're learning how to do. And it's in realizing that it's okay that we don't have the answers where we create the space to actually discover the solutions to what it is that we're asking for. Okay, we don't know the answers. Okay, so let's go find them. Let's start looking. Let's ask for solutions. Let's be willing to try some things and see if they work. And if they don't work, that's okay because there's other things we can try. You keep going until you find what works for you. And what is a solution for one person may not be the exact solution for you, but maybe them sharing their story or their experience sparks that opening and that potential for you to know that it's okay to look for your solutions. And it's okay that you don't have it in this exact moment. That doesn't mean you did something wrong. And it doesn't mean you're not going to find your solution. Of course, when we're uncomfortable or frustrated or feeling anxiety, we want the solution yesterday. Who doesn't? This is normal. It's okay. But when we can drop in and say, okay, I have this frustration and this anxiety, but I know that I don't have the solution right in this moment. So instead of trying to force a solution into place that isn't going to actually help me, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to love myself. And I'm going to learn how to trust myself in the uncomfortable situations, in this anxiety. And if I don't feel that way right now, it's okay because I'm going to set the intention that this is one of my goals. And I'm going to give myself the space and the grace to find the tools, the people, the places, and the things and the experiences that are going to support me in getting the tools and the solutions that I need and are required for me to be able to embody the things that I want in my life. Okay. I hope this makes sense because it's, I believe, one of the biggest things that's holding the general collective back from becoming and achieving and creating the life that they actually want. Because it's going into spaces and places where we might not necessarily know how to do things, where the new solutions live. So the people who are pioneering and visioneering where we're headed and that are willing to kind of free fall in some of these instances into the unknown, knowing that they're going to land exactly where they need to be, learning new things, is the energy that is supporting these huge shifts on the planet. So, for any of you that are here doing that in any way, shape, or form, doesn't matter how small or how big, just the fact that you're willing to do something new and think outside of the box is visioneering. It's pioneering for yourself, for your family, for your neighborhood, for the collective, for the planet. You're doing something new. You're doing something outside of the box. And I would like you to give yourself major props for that, regardless of your age, regardless of how you identify, regardless of how your life looks to everybody else on the outside right now. Because I'm going to tell you that when I was going through my transformational process, it looked like I had nothing together in my life. People probably would have looked at it and been like, she has no clue what she's doing, was how it would have looked externally. But the thing was, is that I did know. I didn't know how it was going to play out, and I didn't know exactly how I was going to get there. But I did know that I was done participating in the old patterns. I did know that I was going to free myself from toxicity and codependency and not feeling well physically and emotionally. And I was strong enough to walk through the discomfort into my new beginning and my new foundation that might be kind of lonely for a little bit, but that when it was rebuilt, it was going to be rebuilt in the energy and essence of interdependence and co-creativity and sovereignty and unity consciousness. And that is exactly what I have created for myself. Is it still in process? Absolutely. Is it at the beginning stages in a lot of ways? Yes, but I love it. I'm excited for that because that's what we're doing planetarily. We're here, we're co creating these things together. That's what unity consciousness is. And so when we drop into the present moment, we can actually show up for what is occurring right now. Would I like to know how secure and stable and awesome my future is going to be? Yeah, of course, that would be cool. But it's been way more powerful to just drop in and be present with what is, knowing that it's going to get taken care of. And why I know it's going to get taken care of is because the more I'm in the present moment, the more I'm in my power and embodied in the present moment right now, that's how I create a stronger, stable future. Okay. It's being present with what's actually true right now. And in truth, I have some of the skills that I want, and there's still some that I want to learn. And that's probably going to be true as long as I exist on this planet. But that also excites me because I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to learn, to thrive, and flourish. That is what life is. Actual life giving, life sustaining, life force, powerful process is that state of expansion and growth. And yes, within that, there are also rest periods where we're quiet, where we're hermited, while where we are within. But even during those times where it looks like nothing is happening, some of the biggest growth is occurring underneath the surface. So when you are alive and you are here, you are growing. If you're breathing, you're growing. All right, loves. And so dropping in and being present in the moment can happen when there's a lot going on. Sometimes it's as simple as taking some deep breaths, bringing the oxygen and the energy back to the cells of your body, giving your body that most basic support of oxygen. Okay. Feel suffocated, feel anxiety, do deep breathing. Give your body the nourishment of oxygen that it needs. Okay. Because if we're not deep breathing, if we're not getting oxygen, we're going to feel like we're suffocating. It's going to bring up anxiety in our system just on a survival, um, a natural survival mechanism, because your body is like, I have anxiety because I'm not getting enough oxygen, right? So it's a simple thing. We think, oh, deep breathing, what is that going to do for me? It's going to bring more oxygen to your body, which is going to provide your cells in every organ and every part of your physical being with the most basic nutrients that it needs, which will calm your nervous system and allow you to be able to deal with the next step that's in front of you. Okay. So if you're feeling anxious and you're wanting to push forward and it's feeding the frustration and anxiety, take a step back and learn how to breathe. Drop into your body. Bring your breath and your energy back to your cells and back to your heart. When your mind is racing and you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling out of control, breathe down into your heart. Breathe down into your belly. Find ways to help yourself stabilize into your center. All right. I have a list of um, guided meditations on the channel that will also support those from an energetic level if you're having a hard time holding that space for yourself. But this is also a skill that takes time, that may take time for some of you to practice. And at first, you might think taking deep breaths, that's just almost too simple, and we blow it off. It's exceedingly powerful. Okay. Deep breathing, focusing in your heart, dropping into your body, dropping into from your mind into your heart is helping you connect deeper with your inner self, your inner knowing, and your inner trust. Okay. And I did see that some of you are expressing that you have a hard time trusting yourself and your intuition. And I understand that. I experienced that myself at times. And what I found was those were the pockets where I had a lot of old information or ancestral information in my system that was kind of clogging and clouding up my energetic field. And also my CPTSD loops and patterns were interfering in the energetics of my nervous system. So getting supports for where maybe you experienced trauma that didn't support you feeling like you could trust yourself, or where people taught you not to trust yourself, or you got in trouble for trusting yourself, those layers definitely have to get worked through first, um, so that you can build that trust with yourself and learning ways to move through those hurts and those pains. Okay. I hope that's helpful because it feels like an important part to acknowledge. That part is not your fault if you've gone through those experiences. I've gone through them, so I totally get it. I had to unravel some super inverted programming that I experienced so that I could actually relearn to trust myself in a whole new way. Okay. Because it was like I was trusting myself and trying to move forward, and I would actually literally get in trouble and get punished for being in alignment with myself. So it was very fascinating. Okay. I get it. I do understand it. Be gentle with yourself. And also know that now that you're an adult, you can take responsibility for yourself. It doesn't make what happened to you okay, but it does give you the keys back to your own vehicle now. And you can work on reparenting those parts of yourself so that you can feel more in control and rebuild that trust with yourself. I do have a video that I did around validating your inner child and reparenting yourself from the Inner Union series. I'm going to drop that in the pinned comment for any of you that may feel like you want to connect with that. All right, my loves, thank you so much for being here. I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Love you. Take care.